the little girl came home from school to find her mother brutally murdered. She called out to her mother, but there was no response. Calmly, she put down her backpack, expressionless, and took out her homework. Unbeknownst to her, the murderer was still in the house, secretly observing her. To test whether the girl was pretending to be unaware, the murderer dripped 3 drops of blood onto her book. At that moment, the phone rang, and the girl called out to her mother to answer it. Seeing that the little girl genuinely didn't seem to realize her mother was dead, the murderer gradually let his guard down. Once the murderer left, the girl could no longer hold back her anguish and burst into heart-wrenching sobs. 20 years later, the once innocent girl had grown up. Her name was Amy, and she was now a senior detective in the homicide division. One day, Amy was assigned a case involving a couple in a hotel who had planned a double suicide. Strangely, the woman died after drinking a large amount of pesticide, but the man survived. When Amy arrived at the scene, she instructed her team to photograph the woman's shoes and deduced that the woman had been murdered by her boyfriend. During interrogation, the man confessed, revealing that his girlfriend had wanted to break up with him, which led him to kill her. After the case was solved, Amy declined her colleague's celebratory dinner and went home to eat instant noodles alone. She still had one unresolved mission: finding her mother's murderer. That day, Amy received a call about another homicide. When she arrived at the crime scene, she was stunned. The scene was identical to how her mother had been killed years ago. Memories flooded back, and Amy focused intently on the forensic analysis. The victim's hands and eyes were bound with strong adhesive tape, their abdomen was slashed, and their tongue was cut out. It was exactly the same method as her mother's murder. Amy was certain this was the same killer. After 2 decades of studying the case, she felt as if she knew the murderer personally, describing his age, appearance, and personality in detail. Amy speculated that the murderer was highly confident and enjoyed taunting the police. She predicted that he might even call them to prove his invincibility. Sure enough, the killer soon made a call. Using the call's origin, the police arrested a suspect named Jack and discovered a collection of tongues in his refrigerator. The killer was finally caught, something Amy had waited 20 years for. However, upon seeing Jack, Amy immediately dismissed her earlier assumptions. Jack was only 23 years old, making it impossible for him to have committed the crime 2 decades ago. The real killer who murdered Amy's mother was still out there, and Jack was merely a scapegoat. This movie is called The Chase for 20 Years. If you're intrigued, you can check out the original film.